This is Meltdown Live, presented by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag for double your initial deposit. You sign on to make a deposit, they double it with code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag.
Welcome in. We are the Meltdown here with you live from the Culver studio on this Thursday, and we appreciate you being here. The second day of April of 2025. I'm going to be completely transparent. I wish that the news that we got on April 1st of 2025 had been an April Fool's joke, and that is the passing of Val Kilmer at the age of 65. Obviously, he dealt with horrible situation there with his health, with throat cancer diagnosis they took care of that left him unable to speak clearly in his own voice. And he was still able, though, to perform and go back into his true love, especially with a proper send-off there, I think, in Top Gun Maverick in the way that his role was handled there as Iceman. We bring in EG to the conversation. EG, you have said on this program time and time again that your favorite movie of all time is two movies that happen to be a sequel,
Yeah.
one of them, and that is Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. You actually heard about this news today.
I did.
A lot of people woke up to this news.
Yeah.
What was your reaction when you heard about Val Kilmer passing away?
It's really sad and it's obviously hard to hear. I love that franchise of movies, and I think that what is, their solace in is how they sent him off. I feel like it was done super well. And it was one of those things that I think that was very classy on behalf of the Top Gun franchise and Tom Cruise to send him out in that way. And I know that this wasn't necessarily unexpected. And I did read that there was some, notes that the family knew and that friends were able to see him and share their respects before he passed. But obviously, it's a very sad thing. And I think just looking at what he dealt with in such an aggressive form of cancer and throat cancer, we've all been affected by cancer in some way, shape, or form. And it's heartbreaking every single time, especially when, you watch someone like him in movies and you see such talent and that was quite literally ripped away from him because of his throat cancer. So very sad. Definitely praying for his family and his loved ones.
Yes, and he was, as sort of explained here in our video, he was a fan favorite for sure. He had so many dedicated fans that loved what he brought to every production he was in. You never felt like with Val Kilmer, especially during his heyday, that he was mailing it in, that he was giving a performance that was less than. And it came across on screen with Tombstone. It came across on screen with Heat. And I, personally, my introduction to Val Kilmer in my life was Batman Forever. I'm a huge Batman fan, and Batman Forever was the first Batman movie that I got a chance to see in the theater. So it was a very exciting time, and there was a build up to that. And I became absolutely obsessed with being able to watch that movie on repeat over and over and over again in home video release. I thought the poster for that movie was iconic. I had it in my bedroom. I became obsessed with dressing up as Jim Carrey's Riddler for Halloween, and there's pictures of me in the school parade dressed up as the Riddler, and I loved Batman Forever. It was my childhood Batman experience. Batman Returns was a little bit too dark, and Batman Forever course corrected perfectly for the age that I was at 5 or 6. And I thought Val Kilmer was actually a very, very good Batman. He doesn't get the credit that he deserves for his Bruce Wayne and Batman portrayal because he didn't have, no pun intended, as many at-bats in the role as other actors have, only doing the one there. But that production was a little tough, Batman Forever, because you had a lot of big personalities that didn't necessarily get along in that production. And that's what ended up leading us to a very rushed production of Batman and Robin, which became the most polarizing, the most hated Batman property to ever exist. It wasn't polarizing. There aren't people who champion Batman and Robin really, but maybe as a guilty pleasure. But I am really happy with how his story ended in the sense that he got a chance to have this documentary come out. It's called Val, if you haven't seen it. And it was really, really well produced. A lot of it was using footage that Val Kilmer had shot himself over his entire career, being on movie sets or his family life. He always had a camcorder. He was always recording things. And the way that they pieced together that mixed with a voiceover of using Val's words, but through his son's voice, as a really, really strong documentary there if you haven't seen it in Val. Tyler, when it comes to Val Kilmer, is there a performance of his that stands out to you, or maybe one you want to get around to here
Heat.
in the near future? Heat, yeah. So I've talked about Heat, actually, I believe it was this week, and I said I'm not the biggest fan of Heat because I feel like Al Pacino walks into a room and he takes things from 0 to 100, and it sort of derails some of the picture for me. But I didn't have anything negative to say about Val Kilmer's performance because he's fantastic in that shootout sequence. Holy mess. I mean, I've heard reports that they use that shootout sequence at like military bases to show people how to reload, and like it always gets them very excited to watch that sequence play out in full. But the sound design in that movie, there's a lot to champion with Heat. I don't love it as much as everybody else seems to. But talk a little bit about Val Kilmer and his on-screen performance there, because it is dynamite.
What?
Val Kilmer, his on-screen performance in Heat is indeed
Oh yeah,
dynamite.
it's fantastic. That's one of the greatest heist movies ever made. Val Kilmer always just seemed to really value the craft and the entertainment he brought on screen, and I think that's why all of his performances stick around, whether it's Heat or Tombstone.
Yeah.
I mean, in the TNR chat, I think, man, maybe 3 times a week or 3 days a week rather, there will be people quoting Tombstone, just not even necessarily when the conversation is revolving around Tombstone,
Hmm.
but yeah, we need a calendar that says days since I'm your Huckleberry or I'll be your Huckleberry.
Yeah.
Was in the TNR chat.
Yeah. No.
It has stuck around.
Super quotable for sure. And there are so many movies that people have championed with Val Kilmer in them. Obviously, we talked about the Top Gun series. Um, I remember very clearly when it comes to Val Kilmer, his intensity, and not only in all of his roles, but it felt like he had A-list movie star looks, A-list movie star persona from a outward standpoint, but inward, he was so much more than that. And it felt like he was always a true artist at heart. And he felt like he never reached his full potential as being that huge Hollywood A-lister, even though he was in some all-time iconic movies. It's because he had that battle of being an artist compared to being a showman. And how do you balance that? And he did it the best way he could by pouring himself into his work. And I think that there's a lot to be said about that. Now, his reputation, with working with people behind the scenes, it became toxic to the point where, I mean, there was about a decade where he wasn't in any major Hollywood pictures. Um, and then when you heard about the health scare, there was that initial denial by him that anything was wrong. And then it finally came out that he was dealing with that throat cancer. And then I feel like, it potentially humbled him to a point where he started to see the full scope of life. He always valued being a dad in all of his interviews and all the behind the scenes stuff. Like, being a dad was his most important role. And you see that through his children and the way that they talk about him. And you see it through the way that he's remembered here. And I think at the end of the day, he'll be remembered probably as a dad first and an actor second, just because of how dedicated he was to being there for his children time and time again. But it was a heartbreaking piece of news. It hit me harder than I thought it would when I heard it. Obviously, when you hear about throat cancer and you see Val Kilmer in these public appearances, and he's struggling to breathe at times, much less talk. I mean, he's struggling to breathe. This isn't a fully, totally unexpected thing. But I still, what for some reason, was not prepared to hear the news last night, hoping it was some sort of awful viral April Fool's prank. And because you can't believe anything you see on April 1st. I mean,
Not.
it's literally the worst holiday for
It
our
is.
business for sure.
Yeah. It's my least favorite holiday. Takes the ticket.
It's awful. So I was
Man,
like,
putting together trash this week has just been a pain.
Yeah.
Because my job is to find like the weird stories that sound like they could be fake. So, April Fools, it's just looking for a needle in a needle stack.
Yeah, that sounds awful for sure. And this week has been awful with this news. And I think there's just a lot of fans that feel like they've had a gut punch here, and a lot of fans that are finding emotions in themselves because there's some part of Val Kilmer's performance that has been with us, and that gets unlocked when something like this happens. I remember when Robin Williams passed away.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was such a devastating gut punch because we all felt associated with Robin Williams with our childhood, whether we, whatever movie you gravitated towards, it was probably something when you were younger, more likely with Robin Williams. Now, as we get older, I'm starting to really appreciate a lot of his work that he did that was serious. I mean, I love Insomnia, um, obviously Dead Poet Society, and et cetera, et cetera. Uh, but with Val Kilmer, something took me back to my childhood of being such a super fan of Batman Forever and really feeling an unexpected sense of grief over having lost yet another Batman of my childhood. Kevin Conroy passed away a couple of years back, and he was the other sort of Batman of my childhood. Like I missed the Keaton phase. I was born on the weekend that Batman 89 came out, and I sort of missed some of the Keaton phase that I had to catch up on as a kid, but I lived through the Kilmer phase and I lived through the Conroy phase and unfortunately the Clooney phase.
Mhm.
And we just keep losing Batman here. Adam West a couple years back passing away as well. So, it's always one of those things that when there's so few people that have played the role, that role is such an iconic one that when someone, you know, passes that is associated with your favorite fictional character, it's like a piece of you goes too. It's a weird sort of explanation here, but I if you've been sort of feeling sort of weirdly affected by Val Kilmer passing away, you're not alone. That's all I'll say about that. But Val Kilmer sort of made his first impact there in the 1984 movie Top Secret, and then broke through with his performance there in the sci-fi comedy Real Genius. And I think that Tyler's probably, when it comes to his acting, he was able to jump from genre to genre. He never got typecasted. He never got pigeonholed. He never was in a situation where he could just play one part. He could be in any type of movie, whether it was a musical or whether it was a superhero movie or a crime drama or a war film. He could do it all. And he was believable in all those different roles. A Western, he was believable in all those roles. And the range that he showed as the youngest person ever accepted to Juilliard, um, incredible the range he had. And I hope that you get a chance to see the Doors movie sometime very soon, directed by Oliver Stone, because he poured himself fully into that to where, it's almost like Jim Carrey Man on the Moon like level of
Oh, wow.
intensity. Yeah.
Okay.
He had to like go rid himself of this character after the shooting. And his performance is better than the movie itself, but it's very iconic, and I know you're a fan there of the source material and you love music biopics, so I think that you'll really like that one. But Jim Carrey, uh, Jim Carrey, Val Kilmer. I've got Jim Carrey on the mind because of Man on the Moon and The Riddler, but Val Kilmer passing away at the age of 65, and a tough one for movie fans that go back to the 80s and 90s and just remember how much of a force he was that, once again, with a couple of different twists and turns of his career, could have become really the top of the industry for sure. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about our personal lives because that's always fun. E.g., you had a
Yes.
little bit of an apartment scare yesterday.
Yes.
What happened?
So I was coming home from work and I was around a little earlier than normal coming back to my apartment. And so I was entering and I noticed that my door was unlocked, and I'm a stickler about locking my door. And so my reaction was, oh, I must be my like the wrong door to my apartment. And so I look and it's the correct number. And basically my fear didn't kick in then because I was thinking to myself, well, I must have just had my hands full, forgot to lock my door because it's a key lock, it's an electronic. And so then I go to open my door and I can't open my door and it's unlocked. So that's when I realized, wait, something is wrong here because there's a deadbolt that you can lock from the inside, but you have to be inside of the apartment to lock the said deadbolt. And I had no one there.
Was there maintenance work or
So
something
that
done?
was what I was assuming, was that maintenance work was around, and I had prior the hot water heater was messing up, and so the day before I'd had maintenance in there. And then I think, okay, well, if someone is in my apartment, I don't need to be on the other side of this door right now. But I put my full body weight against the door and could not open it. And again, it's unlocked. And so I walk quietly but briskly away from my door and I make a few phone calls to see what the best, method would be to proceed. My first call was naturally to maintenance because I'm thinking that must be the case. Maintenance was not in there. And so I called the lobby. I said, "Can you guys send someone up here? Because I don't want to move because I want to see if someone comes out of my apartment because we don't have cameras in certain locations." And long story short, maintenance was able to open the door. We're unsure of what was blocking it, but it was one of those moments where it's like you're so sure of a few things, but the outcome does not correlate to what just happened. And so my deck door was unlocked and I'm on the 3rd floor. So, and it's in an enclosed space. So, not sure if that has something to do with it. Nothing was disturbed, but like I could not get in my door. Um, and so, yeah, that's where we're at. And very unsettling, if you will. I was given no explanation as to why, like, I would not be able to enter and why my key, like, wouldn't open my door. So, yes. There's some
Okay.
details I can share off camera, but we never know who's watching. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's keep those
Yes,
conversations there, but, that's awful.
it
Do we
is.
need do we need to get somebody to, like, stand guard
We do.
outside EG's
Literally.
apartment?
Well, and to add some, more intrigue, I had some weird package issues today as well. As you guys know, I had a Dyson Airwrap stolen last month. I guess that was now into February. And I get a text from my leasing office that she has 2 packages for me. And my thought process was the Dyson was found. You know how that works. It just mysteriously appeared. And I had ordered something out from Target and I basically it was only said EG on it, which is weird because I don't address things EG, and I also always my last name. My apartment was wrong, and only half of what I ordered is in the package.
E.g.
I know,
What?
I know, only half of what I ordered, and it's like,
At what point does this create just intense paranoia in every
oh,
aspect of your
I
life?
think it
literally,
already has.
like it is the weird, and it's just very strange. It's all very strange.
Well, I'm glad that you're here
Thank
in
you.
the studio today because I would be, probably unable to function with the amount of things that are happening in your life. So keep us posted on it.
I will, and like, just say a prayer. I
Yeah,
I I feel like safe. I mean, but it's unsettling. It's all very unsettling. And like yesterday, because then you naturally think no one's gonna believe me. Like no one's gonna believe me that I couldn't open this door. But like, it's one of those things where
there's no other
there's no other
explanation.
right. Like I wouldn't call, and two, I want to make it clear, because in the moment you also think, well, when did my adrenaline and fear kick in? So when did things kind of get fuzzy? When can I kind of act out of impulse? Because then it was like, well, did you accidentally lock your door back and that's why you couldn't get in? And I was like, no, because I wasn't. I was not fearful that my door was unlocked. I was fearful that I couldn't get into my unlocked door. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So again, it's not that I was, calling because my door is unlocked. I'm calling because I know my door is unlocked, but the issue is something is preventing me from entering. So,
Nightmare.
nightmare. Yeah, nightmare.
Well, keep us posted
I
on
will.
that and let's see if we can brainstorm some solutions maybe off air as well. We're getting some
Yes.
solutions here in the chat that maybe you should look into, but you know, what
Yeah,
a crazy situation there for
it
sure.
is. My brother and dad will be surveying my apartment this weekend, and we will, have some of those tools in place, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jay's got a suggestion in the chat, and that's my solution
Yes, yes,
for
yes,
for
yes.
living alone.
Yes, we are comfortable in that aspect.
Yes. Okay. Uh, Tyler, you're going to see a movie tonight that I know you're very excited about, just outside of your top 10 most anticipated.
Yeah, this was sort of like I guess not this movie in particular, but this movie along with other movies of its ilk.
Is
Um,
this considered part of the Pooniverse? It's
no,
not, right? But
no,
it's the same sort of vibe.
it's the same idea.
Yeah.
It is public domain slasher nonsense, is what it is, and I'm here for it. This one will be centered around Steamboat Willie, and he will be played by David Howard Thornton, aka Art the Clown, and Alabama native. I'm looking forward to it. These are fun and stupid. I know exactly what I'm signing up for.
Sure.
Um, and they deliver on it.
I get this one and Popeye the Slayer Man confused at times.
I debated on seeing Popeye the Slayer Man because it wasn't playing here locally, so I would have had to drive to Atlanta to see it
And
at
who
a
wants to go to Atlanta? Am I
at
right?
a non AMC theater. So it's like, oh man, 3 hours round trip, assuming no Atlanta traffic,
Right.
and going out of pocket because it's not AMC A list.
And oh, by the way, if you really want to watch it, it'll be in your home within the next few weeks because that's the way movies work
Oh
these
yeah,
days.
it'll hit most likely Prime.
Yeah. Like,
Prime's good about adding all these wacky horror movies.
it's been a big discussion at CinemaCon this week of like, theaters want a theatrical window that makes sense for their business because these movies are they all have different windows. There's not just one window that's followed. Like some movies within 2-3 weeks it's out there on streaming. Some movies it's day and day. Some movies it's 1 week. Some movies it's 3 months. It's just like Mufasa is a movie we bring up often because it goes totally against the norm of how movies track these days. But Disney not getting gun shy and leaving it in theaters instead of just immediately sort of trying to recoil it and throw it on Disney Plus ended up making that movie very successful over time because audiences showed up to the theater knowing it would be there and it worked out for them. But there are so many people who actually get the encouragement of, I don't have to go see it in the theater because it'll be on streaming in a couple weeks. And not only that, but I got a whole backlog of things that are now on streaming. Like once you get on that cycle of you're just constantly playing catch up with other things, everything's new at home. Everything feels new at home if you're not even keeping up with the theatrical release. So, CinemaCon, there's been a lot of tough discussions there between the studios and the theaters about how to solve that problem. And we'll see if anything comes of it. Let's talk a little bit about the Nintendo Switch 2, which there was an announcement for today. It will officially release on June 5th alongside Mario Kart World, the supersized ninth entry in the racing series. Instead of racing through distinct courses, 24 racers drive their karts through an open world full of various regions. I don't know exactly how that's going to work, but I know that Mario Kart is always a very successful title,
How
especially
this
at
will
launch.
work is it'll be a live service game, is what it sounds like, and you'll have different worlds that'll be like a timed event for the month, and you can progress and unlock tracks to use in free play and different characters and stuff. Pay for others, season passes. That is what that blurb sounded like to me.
Well, one thing I saw in the presentation today, I watched it on YouTube earlier today, and they have a video chat feature now
In Mario Kart,
in all games on the Switch 2,
Ooh,
where you
I
buy a
love that.
camera, hook it up, and some games actually implement you into the game.
No.
Yeah.
okay, all right, I'm in on
You're in
this.
on that?
Imagine playing Mario Kart online. Imagine of the content we can make. Mario Kart online and us like just trash talking people.
Well, I mean,
I
that's one way to go. But at what point does the 12-year-old say something mean back and we can't take it? Because
That's
that's
true.
how I imagine all online gaming disputes go.
I mean, yeah.
How are they gonna
Culver Studio gets swatted would not be a good idea.
no. How are they gonna control that slash make sure that it's not getting out of hands?
I guess the only way would be if there's like a sort of like how YouTube has like its moderation based on what audio it hears and then translates into the auto-generated subtitles. like if the auto-generated subtitles pick up different curse words or naughty subjects, then it gets demonetized. So I imagine that Nintendo would implement a similar
I'm saying
project.
more visually though.
Oh, visually.
Yes.
Yeah, visually yeah,
I don't know.
chat roulette issues.
I have no idea how it's all going to end up panning out,
Yikes.
but I did not see enough in the presentation today that makes me go, I need to upgrade to a Switch 2 over a regular Switch. I like the regular Switch. I feel like it's still very functional. You've got a great game library. There aren't any exclusives right now that super excite me. Don't need to upgrade yet. Don't know when I will upgrade, but or if I will upgrade because they have also it has magnetically detachable Joy-Con controllers this time around, which is an upgrade for sure. You don't have to find that right slot. You can just connect and it's right there. And there's a release button on the back that lets you get your Joy-Cons. They've got enhanced left and right triggers on the Joy-Cons. If you're playing on just one Joy-Con, the other ones are pretty small. And then these are much larger. Everything about it is larger. The screen's larger. It's got a better resolution. They are ditching the red and blue color for a mostly black palette, which it sort of takes a little bit of the life out of Nintendo. I went with the Mario edition of the Nintendo Switch and have really enjoyed that. And the controllers can also be used as wireless mouses for certain games. So it's like point and click games as well will be a part of this. And they demonstrated that.
So
So
like Telltale games, I guess.
yeah. Can you look up? This is the one thing I don't have, and I should have done the research, and I apologize, but what the price point is on the Switch 2? I would guess, I'm going to guess $399.
Whoa.
What is it?
$449.99.
Too far off, $50,
A lot
but
of money.
still that's a lot of money for a
$450 for a handheld is well, I guess this is also their flagship console now
yeah.
because the Wii's not around. I mean, I guess I
Oh, it's pricey. Don't
yeah,
get me wrong.
that's pricey for the amount of like power you're getting out of a Nintendo
Does it
Switch.
come with Mario Kart? Like, does that 450 get you a game, or is that without a game?
I think that's without a game.
Because 450 with a game,
Let me double check.
450 with a game is not that bad.
450 with a game, I agree, not bad at all.
What are games running these days?
About 70.
Yeah.
And then rumor has it that GTA 6 will be over 100 when it drops.
Yeah.
Because its development has been, I think, $1.2 billion or something like that.
And guess what? It'll sell out everywhere that they sell physical copies. Like, it'll sell out.
The Mario Kart World bundle is $500.
Oh, so okay.
So
Wait.
not with the games.
That is a lot of money for
Maybe a little bit tough to get people to ditch their current Switch. Oh, hashtag ditch the Switch? Question mark?
trending.
There we go. It started here on the Meltdown. Okay, we go to this. This was some big news that dropped last night. I thought it would be the biggest news of the day. I was wrong because we had the tragic passing of Val Kilmer. We have the Switch news, and we also have the news that, yes, one of Tyler's favorite directors of all time, if not his favorite, maybe it is his favorite, I don't know, David Fincher is set to direct Brad Pitt in a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood sequel that was written by Quentin Tarantino.
So you sent me this last night, and I looked at it, and I thought, there's no way this is real. I am not responding to this. There's no way. How dare you, Tim, for trying to pull cruel April Fool's joke on me? It's real. This is the greatest thing I've ever heard. You got my favorite director directing a sequel to my other favorite director's most recent movie, which I absolutely love. And it is gonna have Brad Pitt in it, reprising the same character.
Who,
Cliff Booth.
look, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was full of great performances. Brad Pitt was the standout in that movie for me.
He was a standout. I definitely preferred him over Leo in that movie, but I also think that the casting choices made for that movie will go down in history as some of the greatest decisions you could make, and it establishes Tarantino as not only an elite director, but a tastemaker in the film industry.
And you're specifically referring to Tyler?
Let me go with let's see, Austin Butler's in that movie. Let's see, Margaret Qualley, and Mikey Madison.
Here we go. Yeah. No, there's no doubt there's a lot of future draft picks that were taken there in that movie. Um, Brad Pitt ended up winning an Oscar, as I mentioned, for his role in that movie, and we'll see if he's even nominated for the sequel. If he is, that means it's a damn good movie, and it's going to be put into play on Netflix. So that's a pretty big win for Netflix, and that's going to get a lot of eyeballs. I would love it, though, if Netflix would explore at the least bit putting this out for a week in theaters. Give it 1 week, a 1 week run. I
Please.
don't even care if it's the same day. I
Please.
will actively go to the theater and watch this over
Yes.
watching it on Netflix.
And that's the thing. Like Netflix would actually get more money out of me that way because if you put it in a premium format, my ticket is $20. They get half or 60%, I guess. Is it 60% or 50%?
I think it's half.
Okay. Well, $10. That's more than the month of Netflix, and I already am not a Netflix subscriber.
Right. And that's for a single title.
That's for
Like
a single title.
they
Exactly.
could do that with a number of titles, but I don't know. In terms of favorite actors of all time, is Brad Pitt in your top 10, EG? Are you a Brad Pitt fan at all?
No.
So the director of Top Gun Maverick,
Yeah.
Joseph Kosinski,
Okay.
he's a really talented action filmmaker, as we've seen in Top Gun Maverick, which I think personally is a 5 out of 5 movie. I think Top Gun Maverick
It's
is
incredible.
perfect for what it sets out to be.
Right.
It tells you what it is, you go in and you watch it, and it's exactly what it told you it was and more.
Yeah.
It is very good, and I've got a story coming up that may excite you about Joseph Kosinski teaming up with Brad Pitt here very soon.
I think Brad Pitt, my lasting impression of him is the Jennifer Aniston drama.
Oh, yeah.
So, I like him in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but then once I realized that was what broke the camel's back, if you will.
More got broken than just the camel's back
Yeah.
in that situation, yes, for sure.
Yes.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't either.
Um,
Works.
but anyway, the Cliff Booth movie came together after Tarantino scrapped plans for what would have been his 10th and allegedly final feature. He's always promised he's only going to do 10 movies.
Yeah.
Now, we'll see if that ends up being the case. And is this a little bit of a cop out that he's basically putting this movie out in the ether without directing it, so it's not technically his 10th film? I don't know. But
He never said he wouldn't write.
that is
He
correct.
just said he wouldn't direct anymore.
That is correct. It's set to take place in the 70s and follow a film critic. I'm sorry, that was the movie
Yeah,
critic.
that was the movie critic. He ended up scrapping that one, which was it was a movie about a movie critic who wrote for a dirty magazine. He wrote movie reviews in the back of them.
Pitt's character was going to be in that movie,
Yep.
which is why it is here. And we are going to see Pitt reprising this role in a new film with a lot of those same qualities, I think, that reunites him with his Seven and his Fight Club director. So that'll be a lot of fun to see on Netflix.
And his Benjamin Button director.
Oh, really?
Yeah, David Fincher did
Oh, okay.
Benjamin Button.
I've still yet to see Benjamin
I
Button.
haven't either. I just know David Fincher directed it and Brad Pitt stars in it.
Oh, wow. Okay, there we have it. I did not know that was a Fincher movie. TikTok faces a potential shutdown in the US on Saturday.
Yeah.
There was an extension given, you remember?
I do.
Well, here we are again. Could we lose TikTok on Saturday? The latest is that Amazon has offered a bid to buy it.
That's
So
interesting.
TikTok has to shut down on April 5th.
Oh, that makes so much sense because TikTok has TikTok Shop now.
Yeah.
And so like you could just have like Amazon like drop shipper links in there. Or
I know we could buy more awful printed
Yeah,
jerseys.
it's easier too.
you can buy another terrible looking Buccaneers hoodie.
I don't know what's gonna happen. I mean, I'm curious. I feel like last time it was out for like a span of 4 hours.
Well, it was like a whole day, I feel like, maybe. I feel like it was a whole day.
I went to bed with it gone and I woke up and it was back.
You must have slept a long time. Uh,
Maybe.
I don't know. You're probably right. I know that there was a literal meltdown, no pun intended. Yes, the pun is intended. I'm so sorry. Um, when that happened with America's youth, and they
Yeah.
all gravitated towards what's the other one?
Red Note?
Red Note.
Red Note and
That
all the
lasted
terms and conditions were in Mandarin.
that lasted a second. They're trying to push Lemon 8.
I've seen that, yeah.
I don't know what it is, but TikTok
Bro,
Bro. Bro.
Man,
We were talking about that yesterday.
Anybody got a wheelchair? I'm getting old, so take me to the nursing home.
But yeah, TikTok has been pushing Lemonade and saying like, in your notifications you'll get like so and so's requested to follow you on Lemonade, so and so da da da. And I think it's to me that means that it might not be back. Like they're trying to force a different app on you. But then it's that one's gonna get banned too. So I don't know.
What do you think? I mean, you think Amazon's going to be successful in their
I don't
purchase
think
of
so.
TikTok?
I
I,
don't think they will be.
yeah, no, I don't see anything changing. It was useful, and it will continue to be useful by the people who are supposedly wanting to ban it. So,
I mean I like TikTok. I feel like I have found myself instead of using Google, like I'll type it in TikTok because it feels like slightly more reliable. You don't have like the ads and you don't have like the articles of like, you don't really know what to trust because you have like real people.
Whenever I hear TikTok, I think of the 88 Minutes movie with Al Pacino that nobody's ever seen
Yeah.
called 88 Minutes. And it has this line in there. It was in the trailer TikTok doc, all the
Oh.
time. TikTok doc. And when I think of a doc, I think of Dr. Brian over
That's
at
a
Alabama
great
Dental Associates.
Yeah,
And what a segue.
that is incredible.
Alabama Dental, they are worth the 88 minutes that you may spend there. If you haven't been to the dentist in a long time and you need to get checked there under the hood, go over to Alabama Dental Associates, located on Grants Mill Road. Dr. Jeff, Dr. Brian, Dr. Nolan, they're going to take care of you and they're going to tell it to you straight and provide you all sorts of services when it comes to staying on top of your dental health. Dental health is so important. Make sure you're on top of it by not kicking the can down the road on those things you need to have looked at. Go visit Alabama Dental Associates. Get on top of your regular cleanings there at Alabama Dental. They're accepting new patients now and can help you feel at ease about all of your upcoming dental procedures. For more information or to make an appointment, call them 205 956 8977 or visit alabamadental.com where they look forward to seeing you. All right, CinemaCon.
Yeah.
Day 2 of CinemaCon was yesterday, and it kicked off with Lionsgate. And there's some stuff to talk about here with Lionsgate.
Can I ask a question about CinemaCon?
Sure.
What is the format of it? It's like a conference where like you get credentials and it's like speaking arrangements, or is it like what is the format here?
It is mostly speaking arrangements of now there are some twists and turns to where there's stuff you can't
Yeah.
fully prepare for.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of surprises. But what it is it's basically each studio has a window carved out
Okay.
where they are speaking to theater owners
Okay.
and exhibitors, and they're talking directly to them. And there's some people who end up purchasing passes to this, but it's not really a fan event.
Okay.
You have to be able to have access to these passes. I don't know how you get them, but there's a presentation style where you start off with sort of the dry CEO and he brings out big stars to sort of wow everybody and he shows footage to wow everybody. And then they bring out performers that sometimes they do their act right there and it excites the theater
Interesting.
owners to then get excited to showcase the movies. So
Interesting. Okay.
there we have it. Lionsgate had this bit of news that dropped today. This did not drop at CinemaCon, but the movie Michael, which is the Michael Jackson biopic,
Oh.
they're talking about having to cut it up into 2 different movies. So, if you remember, we talked about it here on the channel. The Michael movie was basically done. They were in post-production.
Oh, yes. I remember this.
And then they figured out they had a massive issue because the story centers around a legal action that had taken place in Michael's life, but the estate did not fill in the studio that that legal action was something that could never be documented in any sort of film, documentary, fictionalized content. That was part of the settlement. And because of that, the studio now has rewrites, reshoots, all kinds of problems because their whole story and how they plan to present the movie is messed up. So, because of that, you may end up having 2 separate Michael movies, the one that they can get out this year and the one that they may be putting out a year later or something like that. So, because
I
they
feel bad for the editing team for that movie because they've been
Working
just getting
overtime.
worked over. It's like, no, you try and make this work. And it's like, it doesn't fit. None of it fits.
Yeah.
And if you try and cut it out to not include the legal situation, I bet the story doesn't make sense.
Currently, it's slated for October 3rd. I don't see it hitting that date because of the major work that needs to be redone on this. Will they be able to make this work? I don't know. I think at the end of the day, people just want that are going to go see this. They just want to feel like they went to a Michael Jackson concert
Agreed.
and heard a greatest hits
Agreed.
set.
Yeah.
So they're probably making it more difficult than they have to, trying to make it this sort of narrative masterpiece. But people, I think, just want to see how good the performance can be with his nephew playing the title role
That's
there.
awesome.
So anyway, but Lionsgate, day 2 of CinemaCon, they kicked it off with John Wick, and they had a lot of John Wick news. Tyler, you are a massive John Wick fan. I really, really like John Wick as well. I think they keep getting better. Like, I really like John Wick 4. I really like John Wick 3. I like all of them. They haven't missed. I did not watch the Continental television series.
I haven't seen that either. Eh, I might get to it at some point.
Don't we have John Wick on the board? I'm trying to find it.
We do.
Yeah, we should have it.
It's up there under H4 and above Mars
Oh,
Attacks.
yep.
But I basically told EG any of the John Wicks, and you're like, I'm just going to put John Wick, and whatever we get,
Oh, really?
we'll make it work. Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, I want you to write John Wick 2, John Wick 3, and you're like, I'm just going to write John Wick, and that was the right move, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But we are getting a lot more John Wick as we've got the ballerina movie coming out this summer, which I'm very excited about. I think the trailer looked awesome. The latest one,
Oh, yes.
so good.
So good. I don't want to see any more from this movie. Oh man, I am looking forward to this. It made both of our most anticipated movies of the year list. Go check out that video if you haven't already seen it. Um, yeah, this one just looks amazing. I was worried because Chad Stahelski and the rest of the original team are not on board with this movie in any way. Um, but this looks fun. It looks like they captured the same feeling, at least from the bits we've seen.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It looks really good. Keanu Reeves is already being promoted in that marketing campaign. So people know John Wick is going to be in this. But the most important news is that Keanu Reeves is officially coming back for John Wick 5. So that's happening. And if you've seen John Wick 4, we can get into spoiler territory with John Wick 4. It's been out for a hot minute. John Wick dies at the end of that movie. So how they plan to bring him back for John Wick 5, I'm very curious about. I'm very interested about.
I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if they just say, you know what? John Wick is actually the Baba Yaga. He's actually the boogeyman. He's not a human.
He's Palpatine. He just comes back because. You also have an animated prequel film coming
Yes,
out.
there's an anime about. It's not just animated. This is from earlier reports I saw. It is specifically an anime style John Wick prequel that will revolve around I believe it's the impossible task that was referred to by the Russian mafia in the John Wick franchise
Wow.
as the big task that John Wick had to do to get out of the mob and
Oh.
go live a peaceful life.
I think all of these things are going to do well, including a Kane-centric standalone from
That's what I'm most excited about.
director star Donnie Yen, who was phenomenal in John Wick 4.
He's phenomenal in everything.
He is.
Yes.
Rogue One,
Oh,
it's
yes.
great. Where he also played a blind individual. Like,
Yeah.
that's just, I'm just now why am I just now putting that together? He's blind in both movies. Okay, there we go. I was about to make a TNR joke but I decided not to do that because out of context, it could sound very cruel. And that's not what I'm trying
It
to do.
would sound offensive.
I never
Yeah.
thought about that. Yeah.
He's blind.
Yeah.
Climb Mount Everest.
Oh man.
Yeah. I typically don't care about the awards that they give out at these places, but they gave out an award for the Next Generation Award. I'm like, well,
What does that mean?
does that mean Patrick Stewart's getting this? What does that mean? That's a Star Trek joke. No, it does
Captain
not mean
Picard.
that. But somebody else on the spaceship got one. And they decided to honor David Johnson, with the Next Generation Award.
Oh, nice.
And David Johnson, like Tyler, if there's one thing Tyler knows for a fact that I deserve credit on, it's calling that David Johnson is going to be
A star.
a guy that gets a push, and he deserves it, because walking out of Alien Romulus, I was blown away by David Johnson.
You weren't just confident in him being a bigger name. You were confident in awards coming his way for his performances.
Well, here we are. The Next Generation Award has been announced. I would love to see David Johnson on Star Trek The Next Generation. That would be a perfect fit too. But David
Pretty well.
Johnson blew me away in Alien Romulus. And if you have not seen that movie, it was my favorite movie of last year. It was one of Tyler's favorite movies of last year. And he was exceptional as Andy in that movie. So anyway, he got that award. Just wanted to give a shout out. There was confirmation that the Hunger Games Sunrise on the Reaping is currently in
Interesting.
development. Now, is this a direct sequel to what we got with the latest Hunger Games movie? That's what I don't know, because that was a prequel.
That
So
was yeah.
is this a sequel to the
I
prequel?
want to say that Sunrise on the Reaping is about Haymitch,
Oh, that would be cool.
but
That makes
let me.
sense.
I'm double
Ah,
checking on that.
okay.
It follows the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and it begins on the morning of the reaping for the 50th Hunger Games, also known as the Second Quarter Quell, which was won by character Haymitch Abernathy.
Okay, interesting. I don't hate this.
Okay.
So I guess this will also get into some more of Haymitch's backstory.
Yeah, I
So
think
I know you're a big Haymitch
I
fan.
am. A lot of people have been clamoring for that. I've seen on social media more about him.
The casting in the movie is super important.
Yes.
Got to get that part right first.
You got to have him look like a young Woody Harrelson.
There aren't a ton of those people that come to mind, of like who could pass
Exactly.
off as a young Woody Harrelson.
It's going to be interesting. I'm excited for that. That actually piques my interest.
Well, it is currently in development as they debuted the animated logo for the film. Billy Ray, who co-wrote the original Hunger Games, as well as that iconic AMC ad with Nicole Kidman. Did you know that the person who wrote the first Hunger Games movie and person who wrote the AMC ad for Nicole Kidman were the same individual?
No, now I know.
Wow.
It's a good trivia question.
That's like kind of crazy that he made two iconic things in totally different fields.
I think, hot take, I think the AMC ad is actually more culturally relevant than the first Hunger Games movie.
Yeah.
I would say more people champion Catching Fire if they're like talking about,
The
Hunger Games is this great thing.
the first Hunger Games, sorry not to keep dwelling on this, but
Well, we are talking about the Hunger
okay.
Games, so you're good.
The filming, it was filmed in Atlanta.
Mhm.
And the I hated, and I know this was trendy at the time, Twilight did it too. The moving camera as like Katniss is like rolling down the hill, it's like car sickness on tape. It's awful. And that was all the rage. And they did it in Harry Potter, where it's like Harry's running in Prisoner of Azkaban. But I hate that style. It's awful. Do you guys feel the same way?
I'm not crazy about shaky cam.
It's
You know,
like
I mean, I think there's a time and a place for it, but you got to be using it
it was
purposefully.
everywhere in that first Hunger Games movie.
The scene
Okay.
in The Woman in the Yard, there's a scene with a spinning flashlight.
Oh, that's awful.
Oh, that was awful.
I literally had to close my
Car
eyes.
sick.
I was like third row for that.
You're like,
I'm just like,
They thought they were being so crafty, but it made me sick watching that movie. The Woman in the Yard it will likely be my least favorite movie of the year. I'm just spoiler alert for when we do January content of talking about the worst of 2025. Be prepared for me to hate on The Woman in the Yard yet again.
But have you considered, Tim, that maybe you're just dumb and racist?
Can I just? I was going to be upset with you if you didn't go there,
oh man.
because the comment section in our short coming out of the theater is exactly that. Half the group calling us stupid, half the group calling us racist.
And I'd be willing to bet money on the majority of those people trashing us for trashing the movie, not going to see the movie.
It's
100%.
awful.
Oh, I'll wait till it's streaming.
I responded back with Sinners is one of my most anticipated movies of the year. And it is very black. And I cannot wait for that movie. And they don't know how to respond. They typically don't respond when I put that, but Anyway,
We talked about it off camera, and I just like envisioning like how they thought our experience went. Like we didn't know or something before, and still went to go see it, and we're just like, wait a minute.
yeah, I just whatever. It's a horrible movie. Oh, by the way, David Johnson, a person I've championed,
In the
also
movie?
black, also black. Yeah. So anyway, no, not in that movie
Oh,
though.
oh, oh,
He's an
oh.
alien Romulus. Thank you for being here for the show today, EG. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I'm not taking out my aggression on you. You're good. Don't
Hurt,
cry,
hurt
please.
people hurt people.
I got hurt and she physically assaulted me on anyway, we won't talk about that.
It's voluntary. I asked.
That's correct, but I didn't realize you'd take it to an 11 to prove a point. Like, he was either
What did you expect? That seems
That's
like
fair.
that was a personal problem.
it's mm, you had me in the what do you expect because yeah, I should have expected for you
Yeah.
to win at all costs, whether
Yeah.
it was ripping off my thumb or not.
Well,
Imagine like I just got the Wii ready and now it's like, sorry, young daughter, can't play Wii anymore. I have no thumb.
that would be traumatizing, but
How am I going to grip the controller? And
that
it
would
wouldn't
be.
How are
work.
you supposed to use the nunchuck?
Exactly.
Ooh, that's an interesting point, Tyler.
The film, by the way, The Hunger Games: Sunrise on the Reaping, will shoot in July. So
Where's it being filmed?
I don't know, but Atlanta sounds like the perfect spot for
I
it
hope it
because
is.
it's kind of poetic of how that city's going to end up in its
Oh
future.
my gosh.
Let's go to this. Director.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
because they give more tax breaks to filmmakers than any
No.
other city, but Tim was just like,
It's
no,
gonna be
because Atlanta is dystopian in every way, shape, and form, and Atlanteans fight over resources in the street
Plot twist.
like it's
Well-
the cornucopia.
Plot twist. EG agrees with me.
There are
Is-
some elements to that is true.
Is Buckhead the capital?
No, not anymore. No.
Oh yeah, well yeah, I guess
I don't
that-
know.
They had to close Linux, right?
No, it's still
Or
functioning.
like
It's-
reduce hours rather.
yeah. You gotta be aware. Head on a swivel.
Let's go to this. Director Ruben Fleischer. Ruben Fleischer.
Glacier?
Director Ruben Fleischer
Glacier?
showed a first look at Now You See Me, Now You Don't.
This was previously called Now You See Me 3, and I was wondering how long it was going to take them to get to this for the title. Cuz that's been the first two movies. Now you see me explaining how I'm going to rob it, and now you see me getting away with it.
They made the
Now you don't
three
see me anymore.
disappear.
Is this the with what was the movie that Daniel Radcliffe was in?
This
He
isn't
was
it.
in Now You See Me too. He was the bad guy.
He's not in this one. I don't
Oh.
think so. But Woody Harrelson is in this.
No way.
Yes.
Maybe I'll
Woody
see it.
Harrelson, Jesse Eisenberg. Did they bring back Isla Fisher for this one?
I believe so. And James Franco.
Yep.
Okay.
But the Thieving Magician's third big screen heist adventure won't be their last. They've already announced a fourth film is in development. So they have a lot of confidence in this third one.
Wow, that is
Guess who's going to be directing the fourth one? Ruben Fleischer
there
going to
it
be
is.
directing the fourth one too. Paul Feig, Amanda Seyfried, and Sydney Sweeney. Introduced footage from The Housemaid. It's supposed to be very scary. And this is what Seyfried said. Seyfried?
I say
Seyfried.
I say
I've always
Cypher.
messed it up.
It's
Amanda
I
Seyfried?
looked it up for a review I did maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And it was Seyfried.
Seyfried. That
Seyfried.
sounds completely correct. She said, quote, "We reached places that I've never been able to as an actor. We created some wacky blank and we weren't expecting to."
Interesting.
But this one, keep your eyes out for this one because this one could be one of those fun, thrilling sort of.
Scary movie?
Yeah, it could be very freaky and scary and could be good.
Okay.
Could be good. It's called The Housemaid.
Okay.
We go to this. Director Trey Edward Schultz and Jenna Ortega showed off footage from Hurry Up Tomorrow, which includes The Weeknd, and The Weeknd performed live
Mm-hmm.
in the CinemaCon space there. So you were asking about what the format is.
I was.
The Weeknd did 2 songs.
I thought he was no longer the Weekend.
He's still The Weeknd currently,
Okay.
but ask again after next weekend.
Okay.
Okay.
Who was he gonna be?
Abel.
You know, he's talked about wanting to change his name.
Just Abel.
Oh, was he? Oh, okay.
I
He's gonna
thought-
change his stage name to just Abel, or
Yeah.
like
I
I
don't know.
guess that's his real name. But
I thought The Weeknd was multiple people for a long time. Didn't realize he
I mean,
was
that makes
single.
sense to
That
me
does make
because the
sense.
weekend is multiple days. So why
Yeah.
wouldn't the weekend be multiple people?
I don't know.
And there was a band at the time when The Weeknd really started getting popular called the Vampire Weekend.
I do remember that.
Everybody's waiting for the weekend.
Amen.
That's another song out there. And also, I love the Daniel Craig SNL. Ladies and gentlemen,
Ladies and gentlemen,
the
The
weekend.
Weeknd.
That's the greatest thing about Fridays. There were also new clips of upcoming releases like from Mortal Kombat 2 and The Conjuring Last Rites before they then showed an extended scene of Final Destination Bloodlines. Please quit showing extended footage from that movie.
I don't want to see any footage from that movie.
It looks good. Just stop showing us all the kills. Like,
They're actively ruining the movie.
it's the first movie ever where somebody could edit together probably the entire movie just from the use of trailers and
Yikes.
make a fan cut of the movie for people to watch and
I-
not have to go to the
I
theater
mean,
to see it.
all we're missing is the boring exposition of the lore, which tends to suck in those kinds of movies anyway. So, kind of giving away all the secret sauce to
Yeah.
this movie
Yeah.
already.
Let's go to this. Zach Kreger, we talked about him. He's working for multiple studios now. He's the director of Barbarian, and he teased his new film, Weapons. This is a movie that stars Josh Brolin, and it is about a group of kids that go missing that are all a part of the same class.
Ooh, scary.
So they all are in one single class and they all go missing. And like everybody in the town starts blaming the teacher because the teacher didn't go missing. So it's like, what is happening
She's
here?
getting framed.
I think I don't know if it's a she or a he or what the situation is. I haven't seen the trailer because it's not out there yet. But from what I've heard, it's a very good trailer. So interesting take there from the Barbarian director. Let's see here. Next, you had director Joseph Kaczynski and producer Jerry Bruckheimer showing the first 10 minutes of F1,
Ooh, okay.
starring Brad Pitt. And this showed Daytona racing footage. And this is a pretty bold statement, but Joseph Kaczynski and Jerry Bruckheimer have said, "We believe this is going to be the cinematic event of the summer. We filled your theaters all summer long with Top Gun Maverick to the tune of $1.5 billion. We're here to tell you that we're ready to do it again."
That makes me excited.
It's supposed to be the Top Gun Maverick on wheels. That's what it's supposed to be. I mean, that's what Days of Thunder's always
It's gonna
been.
be like glamour of F1, like the outfits, okay. Okay.
You're in on this one?
I'm in on this one.
Okay, this may be a meltdown at the movies.
I could totally do that.
And I hear
Rumor on the street.
the rumor on the street is these first 10 minutes that they showed at CinemaCon were dynamite.
Okay.
Like amazing. Like
Okay.
some of the best stuff ever captured action sequence wise.
Let's book it.
The reason I buy stock into that is because I have seen Top Gun Maverick.
It's incredible.
And the way that they shot Top Gun Maverick makes me believe in this F1 movie, even though I don't give a flippin' care in the world about
I
F1
don't
or
really
racing.
either, but I love the fashion around it. I love the glamour. I love the drivers and like just the vibe. So I could see it on the big screen. When does it come out?
Hold on real quick. Kaczynski promised the film has everything that audiences love: action, romance, and humor.
Oh, perfect.
What
I'm
is the
sold.
F1 release date?
I believe it's in June.
Like first week
Let
of
me-
June would have
let-
been my
let-
guess.
Yeah,
Let's do
let
it.
me double check on that.
I have a
Uh,
wedding the first weekend of June, but we can work around.
Last week of June.
Last week of June.
Okay,
June
no, I have a wedding.
27th.
There we go. The wedding can continue.
Yes. I'm about to sneeze.
I originally was
Sorry.
Let me mute your mic.
I originally was not interested in this F1 movie until today. I did not know it was being made by the same team that filmed Top Gun Maverick. Like, even though I'm not the biggest Top Gun fan in the world, like the use of the Cinejets in that movie, like objectively the coolest thing you can do on film.
Dude, yes. It was awesome. Are we still in Sneeze Watch
No, I think I'm good.
2025?
I think I'm
Did
good.
it pass?
Yeah, I think
Look
so.
at the light.
Was it a sneeze watch or a sneeze warning?
It was a sneeze warning. I apologize, Tyler. We were upgraded to a sneeze warning.
I'm good. I'm good.
You're sure?
Hopefully. You'll know.
Stop the show if you need to sneeze.
Okay.
I don't think they did Bill Hader any justice because they announce all these awesome things and then they bring out Bill Hader. And
I love Bill Hader, but I don't know if I'd have him announce
they bring
this.
out Bill Hader to talk about The Cat in the Hat, which is the movie he's doing.
He's doing Cat in the Hat.
That's so sad.
Showed the official trailer for the film. So I feel like he's a comedian. He understands like the way that you're in the lineup matters a lot with the way you're perceived. And they just imagine that they just blow the audience away with 10 minutes of F1. And then they bring out Bill Hader to talk about the Cat in the Hat. Hey guys, it's like I felt bad for Bill Hader that he was put
So
in that spot.
how are they doing this? Is it gonna be that like 3D CGI animated style, or are they going Mike Myers?
I may be wrong, but I think they're going live action on this.
Whoa, that's kind of unique.
Yeah.
Like,
So we'll see.
kind of feels scary.
I'm all in on Bill Hader though.
I am slightly disappointed that Mike Myers will not be reprising the role, because that movie is like it feels like an absolute fever dream if you watch the.
This movie sucks. That movie sucks. That movie's
You don't like
nightmare inducing.
it is so strange, and I have rewatched it several
Yeah,
times.
it's awful.
Alec Baldwin in that movie is a weirdo.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you got was it the kid who played Curtis in the Santa Claus?
Yeah. I'm trying to look up there. I thought for sure I told you to write up there, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
No, that never was.
But they should have Alec Baldwin in the sequel, Stop or My Dad Will Shoot.
Oh.
Okay, let's go to this. It ended with Superman. And that is the most important part of this whole process. Warner Brothers came out and they said, we have got to get you some Superman footage. You've been waiting for it. Peter Safran, James Gunn, they came out, they introduced the principal cast of Superman, David Cornsweet, Rachel Brosnahan, and Nicholas Hoult all came out on the stage, and they had a world exclusive sneak peek of footage of the film. And you know who they say stole the show?
Rachel Brosnan.
No.
Oh.
Good guess, though.
Thank you. Well, Lex Luthor.
I'm going to give Tyler an official
sorry.
guess if that's okay.
Okay.
As much faith as I have in Nicholas Hoult delivering an all-star performance, I think it would be just like wild if Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern ended up being what surprised everybody, given how much backlash there was immediately to the character's look on screen.
So y'all are all wrong.
Okay.
No.
And
The
I
dog.
think, Tyler, you'll be very happy with this news.
Crypto?
Crypto the dog.
Yay.
Well, EG also very happy with this news. That's the happiest I've ever seen you to be wrong.
Yeah.
That's the happiest I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Crypto the dog
Good.
is getting rave reviews so far, and this is, according to James Gunn, a movie that celebrates kindness and human love.
Love that.
Gunn said he was first offered Superman back in 2018, but he opted to make another DC film, The Suicide Squad, instead, believing its R-rated ragtag ethos was more aligned with what he had done on the Guardians of the Galaxy. But the idea of taking a character perceived as old-fashioned and making it resonate with a modern audience appealed to him, is why he has taken the job. Eventually, he had a eureka moment. He was able to find a story that is both utterly human and utterly fantastic at the same time. Superman, there is not a movie that I am more excited about this year than Superman in 2025.
Yeah.
I will be ecstatic to see that movie at the theater, opening moment, cannot wait, big time. Audiences are ready for it. If there's ever a time where Superman was going to become culturally relevant again, this is the time. We need Superman.
Agreed.
I wouldn't be surprised if you ask if we can play hooky again for this one.
Yeah, we may have 2 cases of, some sort of awful rash that we can't be around anybody else except for people in the auditorium. That may happen.
Duh.
The Wangs took me out.
Perfect. Yes. Hashtag Wang. And that's the thing. We got to go eat at Mr. Wang's before we then go to the movie while playing hooky. But yes, I'm excited for Superman. The theaters desperately need something like Superman to be a smash hit, and DC needs it. Everybody needs it.
Yeah.
Audiences need it. I think there's going to be there's no doubt a lot of internet hate for this movie because there's a lot of people upset that this ain't my Superman. But man, I think there's gonna be a lot of people wanting this to be so good, and I'm rooting for it so hard. So I hope that it is a big time success there for sure. That is going to do it for us here on the Meltdown today. Guys, I'm inspired. I'm optimistic about the future of cinema.
Me too.
And that's what CinemaCon gives me every year, like a little bit of hope that after these dull months of studios releasing slop, that we're actually going to get maybe something very quality over the coming months. So I'm excited. Hope you guys are too. One place to be excited, that is MyBookie at mybookie.ag. You can go ahead and get that 50% deposit bonus when you use promo code NEXTROUND, up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. Make sure you use promo code NEXTROUND for all of that there, for that $10 casino chip there in their live casino at mybookie.ag. EG, I hope all of your apartment drama ends up not resonating today in any way. I hope it's like all calms down,
Hopefully, we'll see.
but I'm sorry for all of that.
Okay.
And Tyler, I hope you have a awful time tonight at Screamboat Willie's, or what is it? Screamboat Willie?
It's just Screamboat.
Screamboat. Okay, sorry.
Thanks.
Screamboat Willie sounds like a place that serves ribs on the beach. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. I appreciate everybody being here. Rest in peace, Val Kilmer, and we will see you again very, very soon right here, the Culver studio on the Meltdown.